Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. If we could get started, I'd like to call together today is December 14th, the VCB TDC meeting. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please proceed. If I could do a roll call. Here.
Present.
Here.
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 Good morning.
Here.
Here.
Great, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Cecil Pendergrass. I'm currently County Commissioner of District 2 in Lee County. And I'd like to recognize my colleague here, Chairman Brian Hammond. And so we've had the great privilege last year, your group did, to have Commissioner Hammond serve you here. And I think we will recognize him for his service. So every year we get to change our rotations around in our different committees. And this year is my turn. And you guys had a great year with Commissioner Hammond. So, Tamara?
Yes, let's give him his flag.
Make my head shine.
Have 30 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3 minutes. I'll look forward to being gavelled down. I just wanted to take a moment to say it was a real pleasure to work with all of you last year. We had our work cut out for us at the beginning of the year coming out of Hurricane Ian. I am so proud of the way our tourism market has rebounded in the face of tremendous adversity. I loved being able to celebrate last week the opening of Margaritaville, over 200 rooms back online now, over 400 jobs created. You all are the job creators. You're an economic engine for our area. Know that while I might not be here as your chairman, I will definitely be rooting you on, and I'm always just a phone call away. So thank you very much again for this recognition and for the hard work over the last year. Thank you all.
I have to say, what a year. I remember looking back 14 months ago, and me, Tamara, and Charm, we were in Germany, and the hurricane hits, and wow, what a year. And so I know that last month, between me leaving the TDC, going back on the board, and Commissioner Hammond coming, you guys were in good hands. But what a year, and thank you guys for everything you've done. Commissioner Hammond, thanks for being there for the group.
Y'all are in great hands.
Thank you.
Best of luck, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'd like to have a motion to approve the October 12th, 2023 TDC minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Any public comment on the approval of the minutes? None. We'll come back. Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. This time we have public input, public to be heard. Any public here? Okay. Move on to municipalities to be heard.
Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays to you. I'm Sharon Woodbury, the Economic Development Manager for the City of Cape Coral. And alongside me, I have our newest staff member, Claudia here, who is taking on our business attraction. So I'm going to let Claudia say a few words and then share all things Cape Coral with you.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning. I am new to the area. I'm from California. I've been here eight weeks now, and I'm really enjoying getting to know all of you, knowing the community, and I share your passion for developing tourism. I have worked with many, CVBs, that's what I call them, around the country, developing tourism, developing economic engines. So I'm really happy to bring those skills to this group and help bring back tourism to where it was pre-Ian. Thank you.
So I just want to start out with giving everyone a highlight of our industry roundtable. I do like to give an update on what industries we are working with and meeting with. So on November 17th, we had our healthcare industry, and tomorrow, the 15th, we'll be meeting with our commercial real estate group, and then following that, we'll have retail. So we've had a great turnout. It is invitation only, so we extend invites to those who we've got some working relationships with, but we also want to open it up to those who are maybe not as engaged with the city, and we like to have them more engaged. So we do send out press releases, and you can certainly reach out and share this information with others. We're happy to add those to the invitation list that maybe didn't make that, but we do have press releases that go out every month announcing that it's coming up and letting the community know. And wanted to give you an update on Cape Coral Quest. Again, thank you for the funding and support that we've gotten from the board for our local Quest. And so we ended Quest 1.0 in November. You see we had some great numbers. Over 3,900 people signed up, 7,000 plus locations checked. We were successful in providing awards in the area of Sunsplash season passes. We provided 91, so there are certain goals as they go through the quest that they win certain prizes. And so we had 169 people who were added to kind of our grand prize Western Stay contest, and 547 prizes claimed in total, 177 coupons redeemed. So we started 2.0. December 1st, and already we've had over 200 people sign up, 173 locations checked, 7 prizes claimed, and 1 coupon redeemed. So we've started off 2.0 very strong, and we expect to see those numbers continue to grow. And again, thank you again for your support with this program. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to start giving a tourism spotlight. That's what we're all here for, to support the industry. And so we're going to just quickly go over our 4 Mile Ecological Preserve. It is a 365-acre park where we have kayak rentals, and we also provide guided paddle tours. So those who are interested can sign up on our Parks and Rec website. We also have a walking trail, boardwalk, beautiful views as you're going through the trail where you can explore nature, learn about the ecosystem, and engage in safe activities. All family friendly, and a little gem that we have in Cape Coral that we want to share and let everyone know about. And then I wanted to just share a few pictures and moments from our tree and menorah lighting. We had a spectacular turnout. It's growing every year. This is our 3rd annual event. And you have to ride past our City Hall. It is fabulous. For the light show and the decorations that we have, you'll see that we had some of our students come, and they provided some song and entertainment for us. And I couldn't capture all of the wonderful pictures that we had from the event, but we expect next year to be bigger and better, and just thought it would be great for you to see some of the images and share our tree lighting. So on December 19th, we'll have a ribbon cutting for Cove Yellow Park. We'll have food and refreshments, animal education, and live music. Anyone interested in attending is welcome to come. And I wanted to share some of the upcoming events that we have in December. So we have our holiday boat along Saturday, December 16th, family friendly. Santa will be present, as you can see. And we will have a movie. There will be stage entertainment, crafts, all types of activities for young and old to attend. And certainly we'll have our boat parade and the theme of that. So a great event that we're looking forward to having. And then December 31st, we'll have our New Year's Eve celebration. We actually have 2 ball drops, one at 8 o'clock for those who like to turn in early and for the kids. And then we'll have a midnight main ball drop, fireworks, wonderful entertainment. We are expecting a great turnout, and it's to be a spectacular event. And that's it for my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other cities like to be heard? Okay, we'll come back to Tamara. We have the report of the executive director.
Right. Good morning. Happy holidays to everyone, and appreciate all the service each one of you has given to this board this year. We're going to present both September and October numbers to you because, of course, we did not have a meeting last month. So for September, bed tax collection was $1.9 million. That's down 7.7% compared to 2022. And for the year to date, this would be the fiscal year, and that's the full fiscal year. We came in at 36.6, which was a decline of 45% over the previous year. For the month of October, of course, now we're going to start seeing the numbers go the other direction because now we're on the other side of this. Almost $2.2 million in bed tax collection, up 18.3%. And that's actually beat 2019. I'm kind of happy about that. And then, of course, when you see the year-to-date number, it's a little bit different because there's some early payments and some late payments and other things that are in there. But we're year-to-date at $2.25 million. Yes, sir.
On the September number being down 7%, and then you had the hurricane the year before on the 28th. Is there any way to, I can't remember how we report that. Can we see whether we were already maybe coming off of a COVID bump in tourism numbers in September prior to the hurricane hitting? Or were we holding up well until the 28th?
We were, 2022 was a bang-up year, right?
Correct.
So, $66.5 million in bed tax revenue, up almost 25% from the previous year. So, comparing anything to 2022 is a challenge, much less a year that, we had the impacts of the hurricane. But you do see September perform pretty strongly. Now, of course, some of that is some of the properties evacuated, those last couple of days in September. So I don't know that it's a fair comparison, Rob, or that there's any way to truly do an analysis of how many rooms were truly available those last few days of 22 in comparison to 23.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of, I don't know around the table what people would compare themselves to moving forward, but it seems like if you're going to go and compare yourself to those really big time peak years where we had, people flooding to the state of Florida during COVID, that might be an unfair comparison. And I don't know, internally, sometimes I think we should go back to 2019 because I think that was a pretty good year, a pretty strong year by most people's measurements, and then try to use that as a baseline. But I don't know what other people around the room, is that a fair comparison or is that?
I think you're right. I think that comparing to 21 and 22 when much of the country and the world was not available to U.S. travelers, and Florida was benefiting significantly from our very open stance and the opportunities, to visit Florida, we benefited significantly, and we're going to see that. And when we look at the STAR numbers, you're going to see that as well, right? The most fair comparison probably is 2019. That was what I'm going to call a more normal year, but it feels like we haven't had really normal years in a long, long time. So yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, we'll shift to the STAR report. So for September, you actually see an increase in occupancy. And again, I think this is related to some of those things we talked about, some properties that were evacuating and other things. But occupancy at 61.5% for September. And by the way, that was a really good September. Normally September occupancy is in the 50s. So to see a 61.5% occupancy, that's a very strong September. Of course, the ADR number flat compared to last year. but obviously not where we like to see our ADR number overall. In terms of October, this is going to be a challenge for us going forward because of the way, I'm learning new things about the way STAR does things. If a hotel is open, whether they are partially open or fully open, the number of units being counted is as if they were fully open. On October 1st, STAR added over 700 available rooms to our supply. I don't believe the 62.2% is an accurate number, but it is the one we are getting from them. And the big example is South Seas. South Seas opened, when they first opened, they opened about 15 or 20 rooms, but they have over 400 units on that property. Obviously, the majority of them were not available, but they're being counted as unoccupied rooms in terms of occupancy. So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge what we see here. I will add that October 23 beat October of 2019 and 21, October of 21 in terms of occupancy. So I apologize, but we have had a lot of conversations with them. It's just not the way they do it. If a property is open, they assume 100% of the rooms available at that property are open. And I'll show you how that looks. This is, and I know nobody can see this, but I'm going into the room available line on this report. We're going to zoom in. You see our room available grew almost 25% in October. We did not grow by 25% of available rooms in October compared to last year. It just did not happen. And in fairness, can you go back to the full report? I know you can't see it, but Florida was down 9.7% in occupancy, and you see all the other destinations on the West Coast also saw a decline in occupancy. Pinellas, Sarasota, Collier, and Manatee County. Even Charlotte was down a little bit, though they have, a growing supply because of what's going on at Sunseeker. But the whole West Coast was down. In fact, the whole state was down. But, again, this is what we just talked about, how we benefited in 21 and 22. Now those customers that came to Florida are making other choices. They're able to go to Europe now. They're able to go back to the Caribbean. Yes, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those are big declines.
Yes.
You would think, if anything, if they were close to cruise ours,
And they were taking displaced Lee County
Correct.
travelers, that they would see an increase
But
or a bump up.
they saw that increase in October last year, but they're not seeing those same numbers. Those are also relief workers and other things staying in those communities because, we were still working on getting power back and everything.
Not to vote to give more work to your staff, but to give more work to your staff. Would it be a smart move every now and then to look at a number for a baseline? Since when we compare ourselves back year to year, it's just a mess. And then what do you use as a baseline? You use a blend,
and you try to just use the 2019 number and just occasionally look at it.
Yeah.
So that you can benchmark yourself against something that would be practical.
And that's exactly what I did. Objectively, I went back and said, what did October look like in terms of occupancy the last few years? Of course, 2021 was a big number because, again, we were benefiting. 2022 was a big number, but we did beat both 21 and 19 in terms of October occupancy. So we'll play this game. There's no perfect answer here, but I just wanted to make you aware. You do see that rooms sold. Can we go one more slide? The rooms sold was actually up 1.2%. So this is a case of them adjusting supply and that impacting that occupancy number. Okay. In terms of vacation rentals from Key Data Dashboard, September occupancy was 17%, ADR at 136 and RevPAR at 23. Those numbers are all down. Same, for October, you see improved occupancy, again, comparing to October of '22, post-Hurricane Ian. Occupancy at 22%, ADR at 158, RevPAR at 35. This is our hotel room update, Rob, back to us keeping track of what we believe is the most accurate number in terms of availability by community, where hotel rooms have reopened and have not reopened, and our ability to track them. The one hitch in this, now we're starting to add in new hotel rooms that were not open pre-Ian, but we're going to go ahead and keep them in the total as a comparison. But in fairness, we had pre-Ian 14,221 in terms of available hotel rooms. Now that number is up because Margaritaville is a new addition to that total. But we will keep tracking that. Traffic at the airport, 560,000 in September, an increase of 8.8%. And then in October, 737. Of course, again, a big increase. Remember, the airport was closed a few days there right after the Ian came through. And then for the year to date, this is really, honestly, an amazing number considering everything. Down only 7.4% in air traffic at RSW, 8 million passengers.
Tim, going back
Yes.
to the properties that are still closed, that 26%.
Can we go back to the hotel slide, please?
Sorry.
Yep, it's okay.
That 26% is about half the bed tax, right?
Well, we know the number was 40, we were down 45%, correct? I mean, the challenge is you're looking at your coastal, look at where the properties are missing. Those are your coastal properties. They're going to get the high, the white sandy beach is going to give you the highest rate. We know that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point to everybody that 26%, not bad, we're, doing good.
Doing better.
That's still half the bed tax, so.
Correct. I think you're going to see the number improve a little bit, but, again, you're going to be fully open. Diamond Head will be fully open. We'll see some of the condos will be opening in 24 on both Estero Island and Sanibel Island. I think we will see some improvements, but you're right. We're going to be challenged again in fiscal year 24. No question. No question.
I'm sorry to keep going on Rob's point for a moment. On the rooms,
Yes.
in October, if I'm reading this right for Star, they're saying there's 10,900, and we're saying there's 10,600?
No, that's what we're saying for December.
December. So you have to take out the 200, so we're...
But it's more than that.
40, yeah.
It's more than that.
So they're showing extra rooms.
No, again, there are at least 500 rooms off, at least, and maybe more, to be honest. It is what it is. We'll catch up, right? Eventually we'll catch up to it. But while properties are partially open, we're going to have this problem.
Yeah, what year is that?
I wish I had that. Did I show you my crystal ball? My crystal ball is cracked. Happened in the hurricane. But, we are... I always thought Star was the Bible, but I am now learning that there are some limitations to the way Star does their data. And so, that's a challenge we're facing in terms of analyzing these numbers.
I mean, they do that to protect the
Of course.
confidentiality. So.
Of course. I understood. But we tend to rely on it and think of it as the gospel, and unfortunately, in this case, it's not serving us very well. Not saying it's bad information, but it is not perfect. Okay, can we, any more questions? I don't want to rush through this. So normally in November, we share with you the final tourist tax numbers and show you kind of the 5-year trend in terms of, where we were. So again, looking back, Rob, this is when we talk about 2019, right? And how does it look to 2019? Well, it doesn't look as bad if you compared it to 2019 as it does when you compare it to 22. But it still is below what we saw in 20 during the height of the pandemic. So it is a significant decline, no question. And then we always provide you with the breakout that the clerk of courts is able to provide us by area. And so this for fiscal year 23 is that breakout by area. Pointing out that Bonita Springs and Cape Coral are not broken out. And as we have mentioned at this, for the reason for that is because one collector in those municipalities collects more than 1/3 of the tax for that municipality, so they are unable to break it out. So it gets placed into the Lee County total, but you can see that breakout by area. Yes.
So historic question, do we have full year 22 to compare, just to see the difference? Like what did Sanibel, what was the percentage for Sanibel in 22? Do you recall?
If I was doing this off the top of my head, Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach are right around 15% normally. We can provide you with that. I'll send you like a 5-year comparison afterwards if you'd like, just to see that breakdown as we have it from the clerk by area for the last few years. But obviously, significant change.
Yeah, no question.
Fort Myers Beach has historically the last few years been 1.
Yeah.
And then Sanibel would be 2, right on its heels, and then, pretty significant gap otherwise. Those two kind of at the top at about 15% each. Yeah, well, you go back to the slide of hotel rooms open and you're going to see why it's that way.
Absolutely. I mean,
It all lines up directionally the same.
it just solidifies Bill's point about how that 26%.
Correct.
It's 45, half of the bed tax.
Well, yeah, 45% is the beach.
And don't forget, even the real estate category, includes coastal properties. You've got a lot of vacation rentals along the coastline. So definitely realistically, every category pretty much is being affected by this conversation. I believe Estero might have been up for 23. I'm trying to remember. You know what? I don't want to do that because if I don't have it in front of me, I don't want to be wrong about it. So, but for the most part, it is exactly what you would expect that difference to be. Okay. Now I'm going to ask Brian to give us a marketing update.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner and members of Council. I'm Brian Ossowski. I lead the marketing team at the VCB, and I'm going to provide this morning's marketing update. I want to begin right out of the gate this morning with our destination declaration. Something that we first shared at our annual meeting last month. It's a piece that we put together to help define who we are as a destination, what we believe in, and what we stand for. Right? So we'll use this to continue to develop our brand throughout 2024, and our customers, our potential visitors, when they watch it, will understand what drives us and what makes us really stand out from our competition.
The islands, beaches, and neighborhoods of Fort Myers are unstoppable. They're bigger than any map can hold. Because we believe this is more than just a place. We carry Fort Myers with us, hold it close, and lift it up. We find balance on paddleboards and tranquility among the trees. We watch for dolphin jumps and manatee crossings and find joy in seeing something new on the water. We believe in sticky fingers and brain freezes, high fives, and holes in one. We'll forget today's plans to make lasting memories. We enjoy cold drinks in the shade and hot music on stage. We savor local eats and mouth-watering treats. We applaud sunsets and collect seashells at sunrise. We believe bridges reach across more than water, and boardwalks connect us to the past. We believe in the spirit of nature and the triumph of renewal, and that everyone here finds their version of paradise.
Every time I watch this, it makes me feel like I want to go on vacation, right? But then I'm like, oh yeah, I live here. So our new 2024 visitor guide that we're working on incorporates some of the beliefs that you just saw in our declaration video. For 2024, we've again taken a digital-only approach that really allows us to be flexible, to make more regular updates as things change in the destination, but it also allows us to feature seasonal content. And since it's digital only, we've also incorporated some video, some sounds from the destination, links to our webcam, and more. Of course, there's links throughout the entire visitor guide to our website, which will provide even more information to help people in their trip planning journey. So we are literally just a couple of days away from publishing this for 2024. I really was hoping that I would have the finished product for you this morning. It'll probably be next week before it's ready, but I do have a few other spreads to share. Here's one from Arts and Culture. There's a neighborhood spread from Cape Coral and North Fort Myers, and then the spread for Fort Myers Beach. You know, I really like our December meeting because it's a lot of show and tell from the marketing team in terms of what we have running now and what we have upcoming. So out of the gate, we have another great partnership with Dot Meredith for this fiscal year. They, of course, publish Midwest Living and Southern Living. With Midwest Living, it's Wellness Redefined. This article highlights our nature and places throughout the destination to relax and recenter. It was published in October and runs through this month alongside the digital version there that you see on the right. With Southern Living this April, it'll be an article called Find Your Bliss, which will be a roster of experiences, attractions, restaurants, and accommodations. Again, that in Southern Living this spring. On the weddings front, last month with our good friends at Bridal Guide, we published a print ad you see on the left and a full-page advertorial as well as the accompanying digital article. And we are keeping the momentum going with Bridal Guide this month. We have a feature coming out called Wedding Travel Spot that we love, and we also have a sponsored social post to support that after the first of the year. And then with the Knot, here on the left, up top, we have what's called an avalanche unit, and that runs right up top this winter. It's an interactive ad piece so that users can scroll through our various neighborhoods that are highlighted on the accompanying map there. And then once they see an area that they're interested in, like Bonita Springs, they can click to read a little something or click through to our website. Then on the right, this is a custom mobile scroller that shows different images of the Fort Myers area weddings as brides-to-be scroll through the Knots articles on their phones. This, of course, also features the ability to click right through to the wedding section on our website. So next, this is probably the single biggest content piece that we've ever produced. This is a winter destination showcase published with Travel Zoo. It published last month and is running through this month, not only in the domestic U.S., but also in Travel Zoo Canada. And we've taken the position that it's time to come back to Fort Myers. It's complete with an interactive map that you see going by there. And we have literally touched on nearly every single thing about our destination that we feel visitors would be most interested in. Outdoor adventure, our islands and our beaches, arts and culture, family fun, and dining and nightlife. So also live right now is a custom hub on TripAdvisor. This package also includes some paid social media, some digital content traffic drivers throughout the website, and is also part of our seasonal co-op program with our industry partners. We also have our own content hubs, or destination landing pages, I guess as Expedia and Vrbo call them. As part of these packages throughout the sites, we have digital display ads, again, content drivers to these pages, and both, again, are also part of our industry partner co-op program. Now, with Expedia, we're able to incorporate our current brand campaign, which is My Fort Myers, as well as some of our user-generated content. Now, what's also neat with Expedia and Vrbo, both of these are also positioned in national markets in Canada and UK, and as well as Germany, as the example that you see here. Now, what's nice with Vrbo on our landing page is that we are able to promote vacation rentals specifically to each of our neighborhoods. So you see Fort Myers and Boca Grande, Bonita Springs, Estero, Cape Coral, and North Fort Myers. And again, reaching out our international markets with the German example here. The team is really excited about this next project. This is a blitz campaign across 4 of our hottest domestic markets that all offer direct flights into RSW. So these markets have always delivered really strong visitation numbers for us during peak season. And so now we're going to go into each of these markets with a blitz campaign and try to affect visitation for our spring and summer need periods. The tactics within each market: we get a custom segment and schedule with a local TV station, which also includes high-impact advanced TV. We have streaming audio, paid social media, direct mail, and dedicated email going into each market between mid-February and May, maybe early June. And those markets include Cincinnati, Detroit, Minneapolis, and Grand Rapids. Really excited to see how this turns out. This is a first-time effort for the team doing something like this. Now on to one of our favorites over the years, the New York Times. Running a huge integrated package with the Times into 2024, appealing to our audience's travel motivations: adventure, relaxation, and outdoor exploration. So what are one of the things that the New York Times is most famous for? Crossword puzzles. So we're going to help folks get into vacay mode by having our very own destination-themed crossword puzzle featuring words and phrases and clues from throughout our area. And it's a 9x9 grid, like you see here, that ultimately reveals a photo of the destination as folks solve the puzzle. It'll be targeted and promoted across the New York Times website. So then we're going to show folks the reasons to visit with a 5-frame mini story that runs on the New York Times. And then they'll hear the reasons why we should be their vacation destination of choice through a variety of New York Times podcasts, which have consistently been strong performers for us. All totaled, this effort will yield approximately 11.3 million impressions with the New York Times audience. Gun is a Southern-focused publication that highlights the South's culture, food, music, literature, art, and people. And we are collaborating with the Garden and Gun team to create a custom interactive field guide that's going to highlight different cocktail and dinner with a view options throughout our area. It'll actually feature an illustrated map like the one you see here, and it will have 5 different locations featured. It goes live this April alongside an e-newsletter that we're sending out with Garden and Gun, and then we're also doing a homepage takeover with those folks as well. Now, we kicked off with this vendor in the December-January issue in the Visit Florida section of the magazine. That also included some social media extensions, but all totaled this year, 3.4 million estimated impressions with Garden and Gun. And then with Afar. Now, the editorial team at Afar has launched an all-new series called Travel to Reunite, which was really successful. And so now they've come up with their Travel to Heal series. It highlights destinations and experiences for multi-generation and family trips through a series of articles that coincides with a brand new hub on afar.com. So this spring, we are going to sponsor a 4-week takeover of the hub and position our area as the ideal place to reconnect with loved ones. This will yield an estimated 5.7 million impressions. Now, for broadcast and streaming, we always have an always-on situation with advanced TV that aligns with our targets. We are utilizing multiple streaming platforms because we want to make sure that we are reaching listeners where they are. And we are going to focus our budget on high-performing placements from last year and just ramp up with those vendors that performed well for us. We'll continue to reach those podcast people in addition to the New York Times podcast with a variety of other podcasts, again, through an always-on approach. Now, you'll see Visit Florida located there in the bottom right on this vendor list. We are participating with them in 2 very large broadcast co-ops. The first is launching right after the holidays this year. It's their Domestic Gold Package. It's a national campaign running for 4 weeks right after Christmas. And then this spring, in April and May, we have an in-state gold package broadcast, obviously running throughout the state, which will lead us right into summer. Additionally, with Visit Florida, we have opted into their One Fun Day video series that will be published on their YouTube channel. Okay, I have 3 videos to share with you to end my report this morning. The first is what we pushed out on social earlier this week to support Margaritaville's opening. And the next 2 videos we rolled out at annual meeting. The first is called Sand Dollar Cents, and it's the first time we've ever produced something like this. It was produced to help educate our residents, our locals, on the value of tourism to this economy. And we thought that the timeliness of this was important as more and more properties are opening and new properties are being built in the wake of the storm. So take a look.
Tourism brings a ton of money to our islands, beaches, and neighborhoods. These destination dollars raise the tide for everyone's quality of life. Let's look at 3 ways tourism benefits Lee County. Visitors come to the Fort Myers area from all over the world for many reasons. Vacations, business meetings, weddings, sports, or a big event. They spend billions of dollars on accommodations, dining, shopping, attractions, transportation, and so on. This spending directly fuels our local economy, and many residents directly benefit from tourism. They see it in their paychecks working at hotels, resorts, restaurants, bars, and boutiques. But all this income has to go somewhere. This is the indirect impact of tourism. Businesses buy more stuff, hire more staff, and expand to new locations. Our entire region is elevated by this recurring chain of economic activity. Tourism marketing helps fuel year-round by stimulating business during the off-season. You might not see it, but this is done in many ways. The return on this investment is clear. Well-targeted marketing fosters loyalty, encourages return visits, increases overnight stays, and builds our reputation as a world-class destination. And residents, tourist taxes pay for tourism marketing. With increased tourism comes more bed tax revenue. This revenue means new facilities and shared amenities residents can enjoy year-round. Tourism makes all this possible, like countless nonstop flights, more arts and culture, and more restaurants to choose from. Tourists find more than sand dollars here. They enjoy the experience of a lifetime, and we are happy to welcome them and their wallets. And that makes a lot of sense.
So we talk a lot about advocating for what we do, and I think it starts with the locals and the residents. Sometimes are too close to things and don't realize that folks outside our immediate tourism circles understand the importance of tourism, and so hopefully this is going to work to help fill that gap. And admittedly, my favorite video that I want to share with you this morning, this is our first ever destination anthem, and it has an accompanying music video. After the storm, we thought maybe we commemorate the 1-year anniversary to use music to lift people up. And then we thought, well, we don't want to be the ones to constantly remind people about the storm. An anthem that we could sort of adopt and that would represent our community. So this is doing gangbusters media. I think tomorrow will be 2 weeks, and we are approaching 270,000 views of this on Facebook alone. Our songwriters who are featured throughout this piece, Brian Sutherland and Clint, both are Island Hopper alums. They were really excited about this project. And, just like at Island Hopper, when you go to one of the small and intimate venues and you watch performances, you hear the songwriters tell the story behind the song. And we have to be able to have Brian and Clint do that as well. So there's a quick lead-in and then the song and music video, and I hope you enjoy it.
Well, the song is called Feels Like Home to Me, and it's about Fort Myers. It's about this area, the whole of this area. This is my home. It's where I grew up, and every time I think back on it, it just feels like home to me.
When everybody wants to get away from everything, they come here, right?
This song is not just for locals. This is for everyone.
Sure.
This is to share what a special place this is to us and what this makes us feel like. And what we know it'll make you feel like if you spend a moment here. Can we play the song for you? This is a song called Feels Like Home to Me.
White sand on the beach, getting caught in the breeze. High tide coming in, rolling over our feet. Sun easing down slow, all I really know is it feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. A place to let it all go and take it all in. Lay it on back, arms swaying in the wind. Where it's come as you are, and everybody's your friend. It feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. Them riverside nights, meet the Edison lights, might be just today or the rest of your life. Well, that saltwater knows, and it keeps telling me so. Feels like home to me. A place to let it all go and take it all in. Lay it on back, arms swaying in the wind. Where it's come as you are, and everybody's your friend. Feels like home to me.
What'd you think? Good stuff. Good stuff. And that's my report this morning. Unless anybody has any questions I can answer.
Any questions? I had a question. Bill, go ahead.
Thank you. All awesome. Visual is so valuable when we're trying to reach people. The thought that it is digital only, I had a question. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we used to go to some significant events around the country where we know people would tend to come to us from and have a booth and represent our area and whatnot. And will there be any materials, and are we planning on marketing our area that way by actually physically being out with the people at those types of events?
And that falls under the sales team's area, correct?
So when you say that, help me, we go to a lot of shows.
Right. Yeah, like I think we used to go to some of the significant boat shows, like the Chicago Boat Show, the Indianapolis Boat Show, for people coming to our area. And there were always things that could be handed to people as takeaways. Do we still plan on doing that?
We have backed off consumer shows in terms of a marketing effort. We found digitally distributing things has worked better for us. But there are some shows we continue to go to. The challenge with when you talk about materials to distribute, we've been very careful about what we've printed, and that's why Brian talked about the digital visitor guide, because of course new things are opening, reopening every week, every month, and so we've backed off printing a printed visitor guide during this time frame while we're in this transition between what's offline and what's online.
Well, just a suggestion might be that maybe a piece with a QR code on it, would be handed out that would get people to the digital materials. I believe they're awesome. I just think we need an easy path for them to get there.
Yes, absolutely, and we've been doing that for sure.
Cool. All right.
So as an example, Jeff and I will be going to Twins Fest. We will take a QR code for the digital visitor guide and our website and all the other things. So yes. That's a good example. That's definitely an example of speaking directly to consumers.
Yeah, we'd produced a piece that had a QR code on one side that went to the visitor guide, and then on the other side pointed to our SunSaver passport. And we'll keep up with that through 2024 as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we all know that definitely marketing's changed over the years, and I had a couple of questions about that, Brian. You said some of the ads you're talking about doing different types of contacts to, like Detroit, Minnesota, different places. But when you said mail or direct mail. When you do direct mail, how do you target those people that you're trying to lure here? How would you do that from this? But I just know from a campaign side, it's pretty easy to figure out who your voters are, who your mailers. But if you're doing this from a TDC side, who do you want to be your future visitors? How do you?
So it's just like we have all sorts of data that we have access to. We, of course, identified our 4 sort of target audiences. And when you go into direct mail, the information to you is available almost by household, by street, by area. So we can really focus in and hone in on just those households that fall within our target audience group and send to them, and we can be much more efficient. So it wasn't that long ago, if you wanted to reach a certain type of people, you had to overprint and overmail because you were playing the law of percentages. Well, now we know so much about everybody, it's almost scary, and so we'll align those households that receive that piece with the households that receive, say, our digital marketing as well.
I would assume there's a way to do it now. It's kind of like marketing another way with algorithms. You know who to. So, like, you take an area like a very large, dense urban area like New York City or Detroit. Are you also mailing or looking at the people that live outside on the suburbs that look maybe more like the visitors that actually travel more throughout the year?
It's not just the city; it's the market.
It's the whole market. Okay, I was wondering if you're just
it's the MSA.
City or if you're doing outside because a lot of people in the cities are either single, travel as much because they're working all the time, and more of a family, more of a group setting is outside the city. So.
Yeah. So when I mentioned the city, it's the whole market. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions for Brian? Okay.
All right. With that, I'd like to invite Joseph.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to invite Joseph up to give us our overview of the July through September research report.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, Council members. Again, my name is Joseph St. Germain. I'm the president of Downs St. Germain Research, and I get to talk about your July through September visitor. We'll be making comparisons to the previous year, but also given the conversation y'all were having and the comment by Mr. Wells, I looked up some comparisons to 2019. So that's not in the report, but I'll speak it orally. So let's see. So we'll walk through the visitor journey as usual. As usual, I'm going to give a broad overview. So stop me if you have any questions, and there'll be time for questions at the end. As we look at year-over-year differences, I mean, this is going to be the last real quarter at a largely non-affected Hurricane Ian Fort Myers area versus a hurricane affected area. So visitation, visitor days, room nights, direct spending, economic impact, all down around 30%. You will notice while visitation is down the most, visitor days, that's the number of days visitors are in the market, your room nights and your spending isn't down as much. That's largely because your visitors stayed a little bit longer. So if they stay a little bit longer, they spend a little bit more money while they're here. To Mr. Wells's point, if we look at room nights compared to 2019, they were down about 11%. But if you look at spending and economic impact for July through September 2023 versus 2019, direct spending was actually up 6% compared to 2019, and economic impact was up about 5% compared to 2019. Now, to be fair, inflation plays a part of that when you're looking at a 5-year difference. At the same time, it's kind of nice to hear about a plus number instead of a minus number overall. So it's, apples to apples might be down slightly, but it's still up a little bit overall. As we look at year to date, visitation, visitor days, room nights, direct spending, economic impact down about 35%. As this isn't the exact same as the TDT number that Tamara showed, down 45%, just because the span is a little bit different. But so this is what you can see. As we look at comparisons to 2019, room nights year to date were down about 20%, and spending was down about 8.5%, and total economic impact was down 13% compared to 2019 year to date. So just to give you a sense of what that looks like compared to 2019, our last relatively normal year. I won't spend much time here because you saw some of the occupancy figures with STAR, but occupancy down 5.5%, ADR down about 20% just because so many properties aren't available year over year, whereas they were last year. For a RevPAR down about 28%. The same while we do an occupancy study as part of this data, to Tamara's point earlier about STAR, this does include those idiosyncrasies with the STAR report, which is part of our calculations. Getting to the visitor itself, again, this will be a whistle-stop tour. Overall, about 40% of your visitors have about a 1 to 2 month travel planning cycle, but the average trip planning cycle is about 3 months. So you still have some definite long-range planners, and about 43% considered other destinations, but this was down a little bit compared to the previous year. And I think this will be one of the themes as I walk through this. That's kind of the influence of the visiting friends and relatives visitor. While by number, the number of visitors who are visiting their friends and relatives was about the same as the previous year, that represents a higher proportion. So that influence will be kind of seen throughout the rest of the visitor behavior. Why people are visiting? The beach, relaxing and winding is still at the top, even in July through September, where it's hot. It's probably the nicest word I can come up with for July through September. But just to give you a sense of visiting friends and relatives, 23% of your visitors was the reason, visiting friends and relatives was the reason to come, compared to the previous year, that was at 9%. So it makes up a significantly larger portion of your population, or of your visitor population right now. Promotions, and this kind of ties back to some of the things that Brian just mentioned. Over 40% of your visitor recalled promotions in the past 6 months for the Fort Myers area. I think this is important that we're talking about recall. That means exposure would have been even greater, but recall means to actually remember the ad. That means about 1 in 5 of your visitors were influenced to come to the area and buy these promotions. And where did they see that? You will see a lot of digital. Over half of them remember seeing on the internet, 40% social, 27% travels, reviews and blogs, and 10% on television. So as we look at where people are remembering them, it aligns with where you're putting them. 78% of your visitors flew, and about 2/3 of all of your visitors are coming through RSW. The profile itself, I'll go into the origin regions a little bit. Overall, not many differences in terms of where they're coming from, with a couple tweaks. You had more visitors coming from the Northeast compared to last. It's at 20%. Last year was about 14%, and there was a fewer percentage coming from the Midwest. Still your tried and true, but last July through September, that 32% was 37%. And the international visitor is coming back, but it's not at pre-pandemic levels. So Canada was about 7% of your visitors, 6.5% from other international markets. Specifically, Germany made about 3% of all of your visitors. By markets, New York, Chicago, Cleveland, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Washington, D.C. were your top markets. Again, this is for July through September. These tend to fluctuate a little bit for each quarter. Your average travel party size was about 3 people. But one thing we did notice was slightly fewer families this July through September. 4% traveled with children. Last summer, that was 56%. Over half of your visitors traveled as a family, so it's still, families are still the biggest type of group, but last year was about 2/3 of your visitors were families. An overall profile, median age of about 37, income a little over 105,000, married, generally college educated, skewing Caucasian and white, and about a 50-50 split, male-female. The experience themselves, they're staying in hotels and condos. That's where most of your visitors are staying. Again, talking about the staying with friends and family, about 1 in 7 of your visitors stayed with friends and family. Last year was 8%. So again, even though that number is about the same year over year, it just is representing a higher proportion of your visitors. Length of stay was longer, 5.8 nights in this year, about 5 nights last year. Again, sometimes with friends and families, they tend to stay a little bit longer than those staying in paid accommodations. 33% were first-time visitors and 21% were loyal visitors. A slight dip in first-time visitors, and that tends to be correlated with visiting friends and family, because those are the folks you can kind of count on a little bit more year after year. What do they do when they are here? Relaxing, the beach, dining, shopping, and again, visiting friends and relatives. These aren't the only activities, but these are the top activities. As I mentioned, we kind of do an overview when we're here. We have over 50% of your visitors staying in either Fort Myers or Cape Coral. Fort Myers Beach up to 11%, so we're starting to get some traction up there. But most, if you compare it to previous years, you see Fort Myers Beach on this list, you see Sanibel on that list. There's still plenty of recovery there. And finally, and I do want to touch on some post-trip evaluations. The one thing I'll note before we get themselves, they're basically stable in terms of satisfaction. And given that there's a non-hurricane year versus a hurricane year, I think that's very positive news. Stable, I think, is good given the situation. 90% are over 90% are going to recommend the area. 87% are more likely to return. 77% are more likely to return next year. The likelihood to return next year was up. And again, I think there's some VFR influence in that regard. Satisfaction, these are good numbers. 94% were very satisfied or satisfied with their visit, 93% with the customer service, and 92% with the paid accommodations. Again, not many changes year over year. Mr. Wells?
Previous slide.
Yep.
Is that top number, that looks to be down to me.
1%
likely to recommend, 51% very likely to recommend.
The very likely, I believe, was down slightly. The 91, when I looked at this morning, it wasn't a significant difference, so it might have been like 92, 90, 93 the previous year, but it wasn't a major difference.
Not noteworthy.
Yeah.
I don't have a microphone, so.
Hey.
And on that recommendation, what are the contributing 3 or 4 factors that they say why I return or why I recommend?
What, the why they recommend?
What are the contributing factors?
That isn't part of the survey. We asked definitely, probably, but and that is something that we've discussed, a potential deeper dive into the post-E and why they
allow us to predict, longer range terms of why they're returning, why
right.
they're committing, and fortify that distractions.
Right. No, understood.
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any determination of why they would not return? I know the past 2 years, in the past, we had either oil spills or algae or weather or something.
Yes, and that actually, this is, there's two things. Number one, I need to check the full report, because for folks who say they don't plan on returning, there is a follow-up question. I need to double check my notes on that. Cost always comes up in some way, shape, and form. And then to your visitor concerns, these concerns about the area, number one, 1 in 4 mentioned the remaining damage to buildings and things of that nature. I think as folks kind of return to staying on the islands in Fort Myers Beach, I think that's going to be a little bit higher. Traffic is always a concern, just like it is for residents. I mean, that's just kind of, I could do this every year. I'll mention traffic. That's not coming. But 1 in 4 had no concerns at all. But to your point, let me check the full report to see what other items there are. I don't want to misspeak when I have that data.
Okay, thank you.
And then finally, before I go and open up to any other questions, we do ask just a general open-ended question. How would you describe the area? It's a perfect place to be. Great weather, beautiful landscapes, and family-oriented. It's a wonderful, safe, and affordable place to visit, amazing restaurants, and a variety of entertainment. And even speaking to someone who definitely been here before, still a very beautiful area to visit with beautiful coastlines, great weather, and plenty of sunshine. So overall, like I said, numbers are down, but we do have some positives. And then finally, as we reached out to your local bed tax collectors, we asked just a sense of, hey, how are reservations looking moving forward? It's in a better place than what we've seen in previous quarters. About 40% look at their October through December's, where we're in right now, are up, but that is about the same percentage who said they were down. But again, those had been kind of flip-flop previously. And as we look through January through March, the big season, about 1 in 3 said reservations were up, and about 43% are down. So from that perspective, it's kind of like a shrug for moving forward. Like I wouldn't expect huge fluctuations up or down from an occupancy perspective. But as we compare, next time I'm here, it's going to be comparing to October through December of 2023, it's going to be our first post-Ian to post-Ian comparison. So I would expect, especially given the TDT numbers you've seen, I would expect a little bit of a bump up as we move forward.
Just to add, Joseph, Bill, I think you could probably speak to this. When we talked about January through March, you're seeing bookings lagging, right? I mean,
Yeah, 2024 is going to be choppy. I mean, the consumer is concerned, what's open. And I'm talking more of the beaches, so not inland, but, beach-wise, you still got buildings that need to be torn down. You still got chain link fences. You got buildings that haven't been touched. You got a lot of businesses not open. So it is making the consumer very nervous about booking us and making it very challenged. So I think 24 is going to be choppy. I mean, we're seeing that we're having to discount, which we've never had to do in the first quarter, just to try to get people to make that decision on coming to stay. And I think that'll be the story for 24. And then I think things get a little bit clearer in 25. But it's going to be a choppy year.
Just to expand on that, I spoke with Barry beforehand. He was saying at the Westin, their group business is strong, but it's the transient where they're seeing some weakness. And I think we'll see that throughout. Hope I didn't misspeak.
I do think that a really cold winter will solve some of those problems. There will be some last-minute bookings to escape. But, we have some convincing to do, right? We have some convincing to do.
And I forgot to mention, the booking window is very short. I mean, people are making their decisions very short term. They're not planning out.
And that's what I was saying about it showing up and then the higher, being down because the booking window is so short.
Right.
Senator, I'm being Mr. Allers today, but usually at the meetings I have something negative to say about the economy. I think we got an early Christmas present yesterday from Mr. Powell and the Fed, and I don't think people should underestimate that. Holidays are going on right now, but the media's going to run forward with this, that they're talking for the first time about actually considering 3 rate cuts next year, even if that happens in the second or third quarter. Once the public feels that sense of security, I think bookings start improving quickly.
And you saw the reaction of the stock market. You just
Everybody's
it's all about
401k went up
consumer confidence,
1.5%
right?
yesterday.
And that sent a positive message that will reverberate through consumer confidence. Our challenges in terms of the convincing that Bill was talking about, a little bit different, but in terms of the economy and the strength of it, I think there is very positive news.
I got money in my pocket, but do I want to come to Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel right now?
Well, we talked to you about that.
Yeah. So.
I think this is, again, why those loyal guests become, so critical to our efforts. The people who love us, are passionate about this area, and know that their visit is helping the recovery.
Well, hopefully a couple of good blizzards and the media blitz we're doing, hopefully we'll bring them here.
Exactly. And we have a very robust winter campaign. We normally don't have that robust a winter campaign. This is a very robust winter campaign. I hope that Brian conveyed that, and that you saw that in terms of the sales and marketing reports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Joe?
That's it from me, unless anyone else has any other questions.
Any other questions for Joe? Okay, great.
Joseph.
Thank
Thank you as always.
Have a good Christmas. Next, we have Jeff Milkey up for a report of Director of Development for Sports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Council. We're going to be going over July through September economic impact reports. July hotel room nights sold was 38,000. Total sports visitors brought to town was 29,000. A direct visitor spend of 16.6 million. As every July, Perfect Games largely to thank for that. 12 events generated 36 of the 38,000 room nights. Go ahead, please, to the next slide. So you can see that there was a dip, and I'll just play a reminder here a little bit. At the last TDC report we did, June was way up, and I explained the reason why it was way up was because we stole a Perfect Game event out of July, and that was bumping June up, and naturally that was going to drag July down a little bit. So June was up 6,800, I believe, and July was down 8,800. So almost all of it was that one event. If you combine June and July, which are 2 key summer months, in 2022, we generated 63,000 room nights, and this year we generated 60,700. So the 2 summer months where we make a lot of our sports tourism impact they were down slightly, but they were still fairly stable. August, however, wow. Rob, I always tell you that, love taking credit for the good months, but I have to acknowledge when we have a bad months too. And August is always trouble for us. It's when kids are back in school. Adult leagues have ended their summer. They haven't started fall yet, and we just kind of grab whatever we can. So we did a small baseball academy, downtown Terry Park facility. We helped Dunbar put on their cross-country preseason event, which was huge. We had a senior softball event. Again, we're grabbing anything we can in August, and you can see why. 1,000 room nights. Up till 2020, Perfect Game had an event called The Series that was almost August exclusive. The reason then you saw a bunch of July numbers have gotten big over 21, 22, and 23 was because of Florida's school schedule. Kids now go back to school so much earlier that they moved their August events into July. And so July gained the last 3 years, and August has gone down, again, because I think school started August 8th this last year. So our early Florida school year really takes a chunk out of kids participating in organized sports events. So we do have a couple of verbal commitments from some of our clients who we specifically said we need help in August, what can you do for us? And so I think next year you're going to see this number pop up pretty good. So on to September, 10,000 room nights filled, direct visitor spending of $4.5 million. Again, some good perfect game. The September is odd because, again, you haven't really started organized school sports yet, but you always have Labor Day. So Labor Day is a hot sports tourism weekend, so we do bring as many different sports and events into Labor Day weekend as we can. And here you can see our September numbers. We just finished hosting 2 phenomenal college basketball events. Both were the week of Thanksgiving. The Fort Myers tip-off was at Suncoast Credit Union Arena. The men's division featured Virginia, SMU, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. I got to tell you, the Virginia and Wisconsin fans showed up in force. This was a sold-out event. All games were shown on FS1 nationally. The tourism office got 3 commercials, 30-second commercials per game. So we're talking for just the men's division, you've got 12 commercials on national television throughout these games, and all the lead-in and lead-outs of timeouts and things like that. I think we had the tourism office sponsored, what was it, Brian? The player to watch or something, some marquee at the beginning of the game, or the keys to the game. So there was a lot of recovery information. There was a lot of showcasing how healthy our destination is right now throughout this first 3 days of Thanksgiving week. Then if you go to the next slide, then on Thanksgiving Day, we started the women's division. And Thanksgiving night featured Indiana and Tennessee Lady Vols, which was live on Fox. So on Thanksgiving night, you had Fort Myers, Lee County featured on Fox National Television after the NFL game. And we'll talk about that, the numbers from that here in a second. But that also featured Oklahoma, Princeton, Arkansas, Boston College, Marquette, Wisconsin. So you have some really top brand college teams in our community experiencing our destination. And it was, go to the next slide. So the Indiana versus Tennessee on Fox was 1.1 million viewers. It was the most watched college women's basketball game in Fox's history. So super proud that happened in our community. And as of right now, it's the most watched women's college basketball game on any network so far this year. So again, 3 commercials on Fox featuring our destination and all of the things that we like to talk about in recovery and how we're still a very healthy destination. And then down at Hertz Arena, we were also hosting the Gulf Coast Showcase. You can see the men's bracket, but if you go to the next slide, the women's bracket, super strong. You had Iowa, which if you're a basketball fan at all, you know who Caitlin Clark is. They ended up losing to Kansas State earlier in the season, which knocked them out of the number 1 spot. They got to have a revenge game, and they actually beat Kansas State. But you also had FGCU beat North Carolina, which North Carolina women were ranked. So we had our own local school knocking off a top 25 team, and North Carolina and Kansas State rounded that out. So that was not on national television, but it was streamed. But just the local excitement, I think, when we talk about placemaking and we talk about sports having a role in making our destination a special place, especially for our citizens, there were a lot of excited people in this community to both go see the Indiana-Tennessee game on Thanksgiving as well as going down and watching Iowa and FGCU and Kansas State play. So great women's basketball and college basketball as a whole being played here during Thanksgiving week. So that is my report, unless there are some questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to new business, and we need approval of the quarter fiscal year 23 budget report in April.
Good morning, everyone. I'm April Bonnets, your fiscal manager. I want to do a quick overview of our three operating budgets for the fourth quarter. Our VCB operating budget for the year, we had committed to moderate spending, and we landed at 74% of the budget. And the next slide, we've got our beach and shoreline operating budget, and we landed right at 78%. And lastly, but not least, we've got the sports operating budget, and we landed right at 81%. I know that's a quick overview, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for April regarding the budget?
If not, we.
Good?
All right.
Yep. Can I get a motion, please, to approve? We have a motion?
I'll second.
Second. Any public comment on this? No public comment. Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Next, we have approval for the 24 TDC meeting dates. We have a copy of the future meeting dates. If there's any questions or concerns about those.
I'm just concerned that Pam stepped out for a minute
Okay.
and we're missing our quorum.
Oh, okay. We'll do a revote on that then.
So
You said she'd be right back.
Okay.
I just don't want to, let me talk about the meeting dates, just a little bit unusual. This year, we canceled the November meeting. Oops, sorry. I usually speak loud enough they can hear me, but for the audience, for sure. For 2024, we're proposing 8 meeting dates. Just to alleviate any concerns, our bylaws require we have at least 6. So we're in good shape there. These dates match up with the commissioner's calendar and hopefully match up with your calendar. So that's the date on the meeting.
Okay, we will revisit the budget report. We had a motion, we had a second. Is any objections? Pam's here now? Okay, no objection. Okay, move on to the meeting dates. Tamara just gave us a review of that. Could we have a motion to approve the meeting dates?
So moved.
We have a motion for approval of the meeting dates.
I'll second.
We have a second from Bill. Any public comment? Any objections? No objection. Motion carries. Next, the appointment of TDC chair. And Rob left, so that means we should volunteer.
Vice chair. Vice chair.
You're the
I'm
chair.
sorry, vice chair. I'm sorry, vice chair. Sorry, vice chair.
Well, we actually had a conversation with Rob, so he's comfortable with making, with moving, spreading the wealth, I guess we should say. And I think Jay would like to be in that position, and Rob is up with that, so I'd like to nominate Jay to be our vice chair.
Okay, we have a motion for Jay for vice chair. Is there a second? We have a second. Any other discussion? Any public comment? Congratulations, Jay. Thanks for staying. You got it.
Thank you.
All right, one last.
Okay, approval of the fiscal year 24 sales and marketing plan.
And this is just a formal thing that we need for you to do for our accreditation, is for you to accept the sales and marketing plan that we released last month. Have your blessing.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second from Jay. Any public comment? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any council information? Anybody have any information you'd like to share with us? No?
I just got back from London. I went over to grovel and beg for insurance from Lloyd's of London, and they gave us kind of where the market's going to be. Insurance rates increasing in the single digits, better than last year that we saw 250%. So, the insurance market's starting to stabilize. I think with the announcement and the economy, you'll have capital moving into insurance, which because with the interest rates coming down, the market will get flooded. So I think it's starting to stabilize. If we have another non-storm year, it'll be a lot better, and then hopefully in 25 we'll start seeing pricing coming down. But that was the synopsis. But they are still insured. They're very reluctant on bringing new accounts into the market. So I think domestically, where I think a lot of our insurance is where it's going to be, but it's not going to be the huge impact that we saw before.
How was the traffic over there in London? Was it bad?
Oh, it's horrible.
Still giving all the traffic lanes to bicyclists, so.
That, and they went on strike, the trains, it was a mess.
Oh, you were there to that?
Yeah, it was a mess. And then, if you haven't watched Netflix, one of the #1 movies, Leo, takes place in a Fort Myers elementary school, so it's a blast. We were watching it, didn't know it was taking place in Fort Myers, and my kids were wowed. So it's Adam Sandler's the voice. It's a lot of fun if you haven't seen it.
I've heard he vacationed here before in the past. That's kind of him and people on the staff had been here before, obviously Sabo and Captiva and Marco Island, so they knew the area very well, and it's kind of funny how that pops up like that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hope you have a good holiday, and we'll see you next month, and we'll be adjourned.
So, Bill, they give you wind and
Oh,
rain?
okay, I was just kind of running together. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, just two things. Number one, we're really in the Cape. We're excited about a number of things that we've got coming that we feel should contribute toward the county, and that's an increase in ecotourism. We're looking at expanding our ecotourism to the west coast, if you will, of the Cape. We have had it at the Eco Park on the east coast of the Cape, and now we're looking to expand that and looking for P3 relationships to come in and expand those ecotourism efforts so that we have it on both sides. Earlier today, Sharon did a great job of talking about some of the things coming. Please watch if the boating ride along was exciting to you. Please watch for updates on that. That may need to get canceled because of some severe weather that's supposed to come in Saturday afternoon and evening when that would happen. So at least watch that. The Oasis girls volleyball team in the world of sports, after entering the state tournament as the lowest ranked team, ended up being the champions. So they are the girls high school state champs in volleyball. And we've got some great things coming athletically in the sports arena. We're building a racket center. We made an agreement with our P3 that runs that will be running that, and the parking lot is going in for additional parking for the wave pool right next door that's going to Sunsplash as well. So a number of things that we're doing to try to draw people into the area. And from the area of collection, I've mentioned a couple times that we were engaging a service that would help us identify all of the personally owned vacation rentals. And all that data is starting to come our way now. And it looks as if over the last 10 years or so, there's been over 14,000 addresses that have been vacation rentals in the Cape. And currently there's almost 6,000 per month that are there. And so we're comparing that to our registry and working with the city clerk's office to make sure that the tourist tax dollars are being collected for each one of those properties to bring it into the coffers that we can use for the budgets that we just talked about. So looking at additional ways of drawing people to the area, and then making sure that those tourist tax dollars are put into the coffers that they can be used. And that's my report. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Anybody else have any other items for the council? No? Okay, great. Thank you. We'll see you next year. Thank you.
Oh, you were.